Good evening and welcome to 2020 for our academic year or semester run. For those of you who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Koda, and I'll be taking you for 3701 COS, Theoretical Computer Science. Right, so the prerequisite for this is 2601, which is also a theoretical computer science module. And we're going to start by looking, by having a flashback and reviewing what we did in 2601 that is going to be relevant here. Right, so before we dig in deeper, let me just start by saying that our classes aim to give you a real-life experience, so you have tools at your disposal that you can use. If you want to raise a question, give a compliment, give a comment, there are multiples that you can interact with me. You can do so by either raising your hand, you can do so by either using the chat, right? And you can do so by using the Q&A. So, how it works is if you raise your hand, I will give you the opportunity to speak. So I can hear you speak as much as you can hear me speak. And then the next one is chat, right? So chat, the default is that it is a private, right? But usually for the benefit of others, right? Whenever you're communicating through chat, rather send to all panelists and attendees, choose that option so that others can also know where you're coming from. Then the Q&A will be visible to everyone, so you can use the Q&A more than the chat, right? And then you can use the chat for private questions if you have any. Right. Also now, say you've gone and you've prepared on your own, and you have a problem with the question, how do you contact me? You can do so via email at ivtutor.com. Right? This is the designated email address. And then what happens is, if you do it, if you have a question that you want us to do on that same day or on the next class, send it to me in Tel so that I can incorporate it in the slides that we're going to be using. Right. Other than that, I think we should be good to go. I don't know if there are any questions for now. Right. If not, we can get into it, right? 2601 was centered on regular languages, right? And for regular languages, we say that they can either be represented by, in fact, the Skill's theorem, it says that a regular language is represented by a regular expression, a transition graph, or a finite automata, right? Those three being equal to each other. So now, we want to revisit the concept of a finite automata and that of a regular expression, starting with the one of a regular expression. Right. What is a regular expression? Right. We define the regular expression as follows. We gave a recursive definition for a regular expression. Right. So firstly, regular expressions, we've got letters of the input alphabet, whatever alphabet that is provided, right, are regular expressions. Right? Also, now is a regular expression. So at the beginning, if you have got an alphabet A, B, like that, okay, then it means you already have three regular expressions, A, B, and now. Right. Then next, we formulate the remainder of the regular expressions. If R1 and R2 are regular expressions, then so are R1, R2, R1, R2, R1, clean closure, R1 in brackets. Right. So now these are regular expressions. And then the third row, nothing else, is a regular expression. So this is how we formulate regular expressions. Right. Let's go and have a look at a few examples. Right. So we've got an example here. It says construct a regular expression that defines the language L containing of all words with at least one A-B substring, right? Or all words with at least one B-A substring. Right. So this is meant to be assumed knowledge. If you are having trouble following me as we go along, feel free to raise your hand or to bring it to me. But as I'm doing this, I'm not treating it as new content. It's information that you are supposed to already be having. I'm just doing it as a refresher course. So if you want a word with at least one AAB, or always that have with at least one BA substring, right? So already we see an O appearing. Here we want at least one AAB, and here we have at least one BA. Right, so we need one or more. So we can say if we have got an AAB is mandatory for us to have, we can have anything here, A or B, and we can have anything here, A or B. Or at least one BA substring, we can have A or B, BA, A or B. All right, so this is now the regular expression for this given language. Right? Any problems with what I've done? Any way you feel that I moved too much? Anything that I did that you didn't understand? All right. Let's continue. Let's look at another example. Construct a regular expression that defines the language L containing of all words where the BB substring occurs at most once, right? So you want BB occurring at most once. At most once means 0 times or 1 time, right? You cannot have it more than once. So you want, number one, a scenario where you have got 0 BB, or you want one where you've got 1 BB, right? So if we do not want to have any BB substring inside the language, right, then we're saying we can have A's, right? Or each time we have, or we can have a B is allowed, okay? An A or a B are allowed. So these are the 1 letter words, but after that, right? If you are going to have anything after the B, you want to say, so let's rather say, sorry. So we can have a lot of A's, we can have a single B, or once we start having an A, we can have a B follow, or simply put, we can say that you cannot have, say, let's rather say a B is automatically followed by an A. Okay, so that is other part of the word. So let's do it like this then. Let's put this B individually. Sorry, let's have this B individually. So let's have A or that. We can have that, and we can also have B or that. So these are the cases where we do not have a BB. All right. Now, when we have at least one BB, we're saying we are supposed to have one BB. After that, right, in front of this B, I cannot have, I'm supposed to begin with an A, right? I can have an AB like this, or A's only, okay? So I can rather do this or A, and here I can have BA or A, like that. So this becomes all the words with at least how can I put it? With at least one, at most one B and no B's at all. Right. Seemingly looking for this one, we seem to have excluded another word, right? So words that are ending with a B. So we would then want to say we can add and say B or A B A or we can have this is good a clean closure, or we can have A or A clean star B, right? So now these are the ones that end with a B, right? Then this remains the same. B A or A, B B, A B or A. Right. So this should then cover all the words that we're looking for. This will then cover all of that. Right. Questions? Cool. Next. Give a possible regular expression that generates the language L consisting of all words in which all words either contain no A's at all or a plus. When there is an A, where there are A's, they occur in clumps of 3 or more A's, and where there are A's, then even number of such clumps. So the first part says contain no A's at all. So we've got that. And then second part, where there are A's, there's got more than the occur in clumps of 3. And so this is a joint condition. These two conditions go as one. Okay. So we're saying when A is okay, they okay in clumps, so we can have B. If you have an A, then it's in a clump of 3 or more A's. 3 or more A's. And then it needs to be an even number. So we have got that, and then we've got that. So 2 is even, right? But to cater for all the other even numbers, we claim it like that. That then becomes the regular expression. Right. If there are no questions, we can move on to the next one. Construct a regular expression that defines language L containing all words beginning with exactly double A or double B. So starting with double A or double B. That is, L contains all words that starts with only 2 A's or 2 B's. Words in L are at least of length 2, and words such as A, A, B belong to L. These ones don't belong to L. So you can either start with an AA or a BB. After that, you can have anything. This was a simple one. Right. Let's look at finishing up with the regular expressions now. We need to move on to the finite automata. Which of the following regular expressions define the language equivalent to A or B clean star? So we want to find, for us to be able to do that, we need to know, if you're comparing these two, we see which word is in this language is not in this language, or which word is in this language is in this language. Right, so here we can say this one does not accept B. So B is not an element of A or B clean star, because whenever there's a B, there's two B's. And then here we've got A clean star, B clean star. Right. Now, this one says you can have now, of course, but you cannot have an A alone. Because once you have an A, you are bound to have a B. So here we say A is not an element of A clean star, B clean star. Let's go to the next one. A, B, or B, A, or B, B, or A. A is not an element of this one. Then over here, which is now a little bit more of the obvious choice, you find that this is the correct interpretation of that. All the words that can be generated by this can be generated by that. In fact, A or B clean star is equivalent to, say, A star, B clean star, clean star. All right. Now, let's look at finite automata. Right, what is the definition of the finite automata? A finite automata is a collection of three things. Number one, a finite set of states, one of which is designated as the initial state, called the start state, and some may be none which are designated as final states. So we've got initial state, we've got final state, and then we've got non-designated states or generic states. That's the first one. Secondly, an alphabet of possible input letters from which are formed strings that are to be read one at a time. So we need an alphabet. If we say our alphabet is equivalent is A bin, right? Then this will then be our alphabet. We need it to be defined. Then a finite set of transitions which tell for each state and for each letter of the input alphabet which state to go to next. Right. What is important to realize is each state needs to have a transition with each letter of the input alphabet. So if our input alphabet is A, B, we need to have a transition with an A, we need to have a transition with a B for each of these states. So that by definition is called the finite automata. Right. Let's look at an FA, this one that accepts only those words that do not end with a BA. Only words that do not end with a BA. If it ends with a BA, it is not accepted. So we can have an initial state, right? Now does not end with a BA, so the initial state can also be final state, right? A, okay. We can have here, let me take B here, A there, goes to a final state, goes to a final state. If you then have an A, right, if you then have an A, you go to a state that is not a final state. You have a state that is not a final state. Right, but if you come from it with a B, you go to a final state. Okay, so here you can have as many B's as you want as well. Right, A can go to a final state, B can go to a final state, A can go to a final state, like that. Yes, final. But after a B, if you have an A, you cannot go. If you only have B's, yes. So this becomes the finite automata for this. So now, if you have an A, if you're in this state and you have an A, you can come to this final state. That's it. So this becomes the finite automata for that. Now let's check our third condition. This state has got an A and a B. This one has got an A and a B. This one has got an A and a B. This one has got an A and a B. So it fulfills all the three conditions of a finite automata. Does that make sense? Let's go to the next one. Build a finite automata that accepts only those words that have more than 4 letters. So we want a finite automata that accepts words that have got more than 4 letters over the alphabet A, B. Right, what do we do? So it needs to accept, it doesn't matter which letters there are as long as it's more than 4 letters. So you can have A or B here. You can have A or B there. You can have A or B there. You can have A or B. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Words that have more than 4 letters. So we need to have another one, A or B. And then once you're here, you can have A or B. Like that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, but the condition says more than 4 letters, so more than 4 starts at 5. So this becomes the finite automata for this machine. But you can go and try them on your own and then see if you're getting them. If you're having trouble, you can always come back to me. Right, describe the language described by this FA. Now you're given a finite automata, you want to know which language that is described. So here it says you can have A or B, and then at this point of juncture, you can have A, right, and then you can go into this loop. AB is then AA or BA, right, in this loop, or you can have so that's it. Hold on, because this part goes to a looping state. Anything that goes here is not part of the language. So we see that this only is the way it's accepted. So A or B, A, then we've got AA, BA, clean closure. Right. So what does this tell us? Right? We need the second letter to be an A. For always the second letter is an A, and it is the second letter is an A and it ends in A. So we say second letter is A, ends in A, even length. So we can use these three properties to define that language. Right. That's how we go about it. And generally, that's it for the review of 2601. Any questions on your side so far? Right. So now I'm just gonna briefly introduce CFGs, not going into much detail, and then we'll start our discussion of CFGs on Friday. Right. So The problem with these regular expressions or infinite automata or regular languages in general was that though we could accept something like this, we could not accept something like that. And we proved that using pumping lemma. Right. We say that in fact a to the power of n, b to the power of n is a subset of a star, b star. I can draw the finite automata for this, and it will be you can have you can have a's and you can have b's leaving, right? If you start with b's, you can have b's only, and b's only. The initial state can also be the final state. And then if you encounter an A after this, you go to a looping state. You are not supposed to have an A after B's. And then if you have an A, you could have as many other A's as you could. And then once you have a B, you could go here with a B, and then that's it. So this could be a final state, this could be a final state. Right, so we can draw this, but we cannot draw a finite automata for that, because we have no tool in a finite automata that allows us to keep track. So that was the major failure of regular languages. Now we need to look at a better language, and we are going to be talking about context-free grammar. So we're going to look at the rules. We're going to look at the machine accepting it. We're going to look at pumping lemma. We're going to look at properties. And lastly, we're going to look at decidability. Decidability. So we're going to cover this for context-free grammar. Right, so when we meet next time, we're going to be starting with rules, which gives us the CFG, which is the context-free grammar. All right. Any questions? If there are no questions, we are going to call it a day on our intro class, and hopefully you find it useful as a refresher. And next time we meet, we're then going to be diving deeper into the new content. But cool. If there are no questions, thank you very much for attending. We'll meet again same time on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day.